Maybe. What's up, Jim? I woke up this morning and I found myself in Canton.
I did as well.
Right?
I did as well.
Right.
We're here.
Trick somebody. So anyway, we're going to do a little tour.
Okay.
Right? And we're going to have one-on-one conversations with real cops. Right?
Yes, sir.
And
Real cops.
our guest, Peter Murphy, is well known here. So we're going to pick his brain and see how he thinks and how he works.
Conversation with three cops.
Three pigs.
Three little pigs.
Three pigs in a blanket.
Two little pigs and a bigger pig.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Welcome to my world, Peter.
Hey, Peter. Nice to see you.
Good morning, guys. Nice to meet you guys.
How long were you up here, Canton?
All told, 24 years. It started in the mid-'70s as which you may be familiar with, is what they call special, then a permanent intermittent, which was under the dome of the civil service, which means you have some backing and you're going to get hired on an attrition list at some point in time, having passed an exam, and then you do a psychological.
Yeah.
You can also work the street, take some law courses.
So why'd you want to be a cop?
I wanted to be a cop since I was 5 years old.
Yeah. Were anybody in your family cops?
Father was a probation officer.
Okay.
Maybe that was what started.
Family was,
Yeah. I guess my backstage goal was to protect and serve and help people. I used to walk around the station and say, remember guys, after a phone call, people helping people. That's what we're here for.
I agree.
And I did an ethics presentation. We had to do an ethics, we had to do a presentation at Babson College to take, we did extra courses on management as a sergeant, lieutenants would do. And we had to do a 15-minute presentation to one of the professors or whatever in the class. And I picked ethics. And even when I said, I want to convey to everybody here that it's not WIFM, the acronym WIFM. And they said, WIFM? What's WIFM? And I said, what's in it for me?
Ah, yes. Yeah.
I said,
It's a selfless job, is what it is.
what's in it for them? Mm-hmm. Some people take it for the wrong reason. Mm-hmm. And I think we're seeing that play out.
Yeah, it's a thankless job. So you worked the streets here.
I did.
For 24 years. So let me ask you something.
I was also a Westwood police officer.
Right.
Back in '82, they had Proposition 2.5, 3 officers from Canton, full-timers got laid off.
Okay.
Westwood was hiring, they had 2 officers transferred to the NDC, which was like the state police at the time. I backfilled, I took that opportunity, I interviewed, and I went to their police academy.
So
82.
let me ask you about the Karen Reed case. So obviously you've seen some of our videos.
I have.
Okay, you've seen all of our videos about how we feel about what the police did.
Right.
So you were a cop here in Canada. What is the policies and procedures for, let's start at the beginning, crime scene preservation, evidence pickup. What do you remember? Did they do a good job?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very good.
It's what they didn't do was worse than what they did do.
Right.
Correct.
Exactly.
What they did do was you have to come out in a jury.
Right.
Or with testimony, right? They have nefariously did what they did. Correct. They certainly couldn't have done it out of ignorance, because I worked with all those guys. I worked with Gallagher. I worked with Lang, Berkowitz, and Rafferty came on the job when I was a midnight supervisor. They came on new boots on the ground. We had a Christmas party. They couldn't even have alcohol. They were under 21.
Wow.
And they were cops.
And they were cops.
So what's the age limit here? Because in Vegas, you have to be 21 to be a cop.
You have to, 21 once you graduate the academy.
Yeah, you cannot get the badge pinned on you until you are 21. Yeah.
I believe at the time, don't hold me, this was 18.
18, that's
Yeah.
Okay. So when did
That's not very much experience, life experience.
No, it isn't.
You don't get time to build common sense, street smarts. Right?
Exactly.
That's true. Okay, so the evidence, so we know that they didn't do anything proper. Have you ever picked up blood in a solo cover?
Never.
Okay. Did you ever use a leaf blower to blow snow out of the way?
And nor would I.
Let me ask you this. I'm sure you, in your career, you've gone to a crime scene similar to Officer John O'Keefe's situation, where there's a lot of snow and you're looking for evidence. What was your process back then? What would you have done in this scenario?
I can tell you that it sounds familiar because you've heard it in their testimony. I never had to investigate a crime scene in the snow.
Okay.
I just didn't. Rain, footprints on pavement,
Okay.
arrests, felonies, stuff like that.
Okay.
But if the question is what I would have done different here,
Yes.
I mean, you'd start out blocking the street.
Yeah.
And number two, you'd go to some kind of tagging, bag of tag, some kind of device, cones,
Yep.
something that would permanently mark where the deceased, where the body was.
Yeah, it was mind-boggling to me that even with Sarah and Mulaney, they knew where the body was, but yet later on in the case, nobody knew
Exactly.
Nobody knew exactly where
You couldn't triangulate anything. Nobody knew.
Because I remember Trooper Paul was saying, he goes, "Well, we had to guesstimate where the body was." I said, "Why didn't you ask the first officer? Why didn't he put out some fucking cones or something and say this is exactly where he was? Why didn't
At
anybody?"
least his head.
Well, exactly. I'll keep trying to answer your question that you threw at me. So if you want to do like a bullet point of what should have happened in three cops' opinions, mine would be you would have closed the street. You would have called it. Perimeter. You would have called the station
Resources.
and said, get a hold of the chief. Advise what we have. We have, at some point, we have a dead person on a Boston cop on, and now we have his wallet or maybe his ID. We don't know if he had it on or if somebody else had it. Total recall. For everybody in mandatory recall. Don't tell me you got to shovel your driveway. Don't tell me you got a birthday party. You took this job, you get here, and you get here within an hour.
It's 6 o'clock in the morning.
There's only 3 inches of snow.
Yes.
And they all drive SUVs.
Yeah, there's 6 o'clock in the morning. Everybody should be available.
Everybody should have been available and recalled.
Yeah.
And you could deal with the aftermath of why they couldn't get there later, but at least bring 75, 85% of the rank and file into that scene.
So what
into
you just said is what we would have done: an inner perimeter, an outer perimeter. Right?
Yep.
Inner perimeter meaning the in front of the house itself.
Right.
Outer perimeter, the streets blocked off. Contain, gather evidence, preservation of the scene. Yeah, the fact that they didn't even know where John was, Officer O'Keefe, blows my mind. I can't. That would never happen in Vegas in a million fucking years.
It should never happen on the planet.
Yeah, correct. So, how long did you know these guys? When did they? I'm assuming they hired on like in the late '80s, early '90s.
Yes, I had been on the Westwood Police Department, as I said, Canton in the mid-70s, permanent intermittent up until 82, transferred as a permanent intermittent to Westwood Police Academy in October of 82. Got out in December of 82, transferred December 13th of 86 back to Canton, lateral transfer back.
So when you came back in '86, was they already here? Gallagher and
No, they all, DG and Petro, who was the evidence officer since retired, that's a story in itself. All the people that have fled, for want of a better word, you can dress it up with the word retired, they fled. We just had an officer named Scott Brown, who was third generation Canton cop. He resigned and transferred to another adjacent department.
What does that tell you?
You tell me. He was third generation cop.
Yeah.
they don't say men don't retire from the job; they retire from the administration.
Yeah.
Just like he just said.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much a fact. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, I could give you a list of officers, both female and male, that literally fled or bailed.
Right.
Very close proximity to the Birchmore and the Karen Reed O'Keefe days.
Gallagher loves tape. Gallagher loves that evidence tape. Do you think he put up enough tape that? Did he? You know, did we ever actually see the tape up? Like on video?
Yeah, it was blowing in the wind.
Oh, that's right. Our video was blown away. He loved that.
In the interior crime scene that they traipse through and then traipse through again. And then leave. Just saying.
Let me say this. Let's say, hypothetically, they said, you're the first writing officer, and they said to you, my boyfriend was in that house, and he looks like this. What's your course of action with that house?
Well, I would start with protective sweep, especially if you knew, and the cops knew who lived in that house.
Oh, yeah.
They knew his affiliation with the Boston Police. He used to come inside the station when I was on the desk as a desk sergeant, routinely go right upstairs, give me the wave. I was told, he's Brian Albert, comes to the front window, green light upstairs.
He's got the key.
He's got the free pass key.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That was back a long time ago.
Yeah.
So you're saying you would have knocked on the door of the homeowner and tried to
Yeah,
ascertain, hey, did you know that there's a dead guy in your front yard?
absolutely. You start with the house. There could be 5 bodies in it. It could have been a gangland.
You do a safety sweep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Corrective sweep, safety sweep.
Yeah.
Knock on the door 4 times. No dog bark. Nobody comes out. Fire trucks,
Yeah.
EMS.
Yeah.
You have the fire department take that ram. I want the door off the hinges. 1, 2, 3.
Exactly.
You don't know what's in there.
Exactly.
See, you knock on the door and you see what's up. And like I said in my video, I would knock on that door for 10 hours straight.
Right.
I would put a rookie on that door and say, I want you to knock on this door continuously until somebody answers that door.
And probably send somebody around the perimeter of the house, property line,
Yeah.
to cover the back door.
Yeah.
You don't know if you're gonna roll Officer O'Keefe over, find a knife in his back,
Yeah.
a 45 caliber hole.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on there.
You don't know.
And the fact that Sarah,
It gets my adrenaline going. I'm gonna squeeze
agree.
my coffee cup
I
and
agree.
spill it all over us. Go ahead.
let's talk about Seraph's amazing report. His report writing skills are legendary in Vegas now. I mean, he had a dead body, a dead officer, and his report was literally, I think, like 3 sentences.
3 sentences.
4 sentences.
Right.
Now that's an overkill because that's probably too much. We probably didn't need that much. Probably just say it with a word, right?
We were talking about it last night. Our reports are a minimum of 4 pages on a dead body, even if it's a natural dead body.
It's still 4 pages.
still
Yeah,
4 pages.
in other words, you've got a boilerplate protocol that you have to fill in.
Yeah.
Every single question has to be answered.
Yeah. And
We didn't have one.
Ours
I don't know if you even have one now.
Ours even states like synopsis, right? We're going to talk about what we saw when we came in, a synopsis of the scene. And then it'll say body. They want to know everything about the body. What are they wearing? Body position, medications. Like there's all these questions. And so there's a lot of points that we got to hit on each page that they want to know. So that body was in a supine position, head was facing north, blah, blah, blah. This is what they were wearing. This is what I saw. Once the coroner came in and we undressed him, this is what I observed, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
None of that was done.
It's just, I guess I'll try to get back on track with what you'd asked me. So you'd go to the door, you'd do a perimeter check, stay out of the interior crime scene.
Look for evidence,
Look
right?
for evidence, look for more bodies out back. Maybe
Like you said, it could have been a gang.
maybe look for a pool of blood if they drag them up the bulkhead and left them out back for 3 hours.
Everything you're
Bring
saying-
his body temperature down to 80 degrees.
Good idea.
Everything you're saying is obvious.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not obvious to these guys for some reason.
We have, I don't know what it is, a 23-week, maybe 24-week academy. I would bet my mortgage that anybody coming out of the academy got an 80 passing grade or more would handle that scene a lot better and would have fulfilled some of the responsibilities and SOPs we've already just discussed, and we've only touched the surface.
So do you think there was a reason that the certain cops that showed up did?
Absolutely. Some of them showed up not even on duty, and I don't think, without looking at all the phone records, who called them and when.
Okay, let me ask you this. Who do you think did the best thing in court?
Without going into which patch they were wearing, the officer from Dayton, the Barrows, he talked about the car when he arrived with the tow truck.
Yeah.
Other than that, maybe Mulaney.
Mulaney, who's a rookie.
Yeah,
He's not been tainted yet.
Yeah, he seemed
he hasn't, right.
he seemed to be just honest and truthful, pretty short answers. Yes, sir, no, sir. Yeah, he seemed pretty legit.
Lucky Loughran, the
Lucky.
plow driver.
Love that guy.
Yeah, Lucky did good.
Straight shooter all the way.
While we're on Lucky, I can tell you a little story. You guys may not have it. It's not per se about Lucky. I have talked to a person a few months ago that told me he was a subcontractor plowing that morning road. And the radio transmission went out at 0400 hours approximately. Hey guys, report of a pedestrian struck by a plow on Fairview Road.
And what time did this come out?
4 in the morning. I'll finish my story and you can dissect that. There was only one radio transmission. Now, when you're a subcontractor, you're in a truck, ABC plowing, you have communication with the dispatch of the Canton DPW. They give you a portable radio, or you're on a shared frequency. So everybody heard that. There was never another transmission. There was never any MS response. I mean, don't you think reporting pedestrian start, they would have sent an ambulance and a fire truck?
Yeah.
At least a little. At least roll a unit that way to say, hey, can you confirm this? So you send one cop that way. He lights it up, looks around. Oh, we got one. Expedite medical.
Right. To my knowledge, it was only on the DPW radio frequency. Just that one transmission, radio silence after that. And the story I'm told is that a couple of days after the blizzard and everybody went home and slept, the question was asked, I believe, to the owner of the company, the landscape company. Hey, Bryon, whatever happened to that radio transmission? You never heard that transmission? And if you bring it up again, you're unemployed.
Wow. Hours at work. Right?
So is that the recorded line? That radio?
I don't know whether they have it or not. I don't know.
I'm assuming if it was recorded, they got rid of it. Right.
You
Well,
would
if
bet.
they came over the radio station, radio frequency, they would have a recorder.
Somebody might have recorded it, but that'd be hard to locate.
Yeah.
Especially if
The fire department might monitor the DPW transmissions in a big storm.
Yeah, see everything that we say on the radio, everything is recorded, 100%, and all the times. So there's no way you could say, "Oh, I didn't say that." Oh, let's pull it up, and dispatch is not going to erase it. Even if you
Maybe your dispatch isn't.
Yeah.
well, you'd have to. That would be dangerous because everybody would be fired. So you'd have to be real tight with that dispatcher. And even then, I don't know if they can pull it. I don't think they can. I don't think dispatch has that power. They don't. In Vegas, once it's recorded, it goes to a separate hub. Nobody can get to it. You know what I mean? It's got to be like the FBI or something, because that way we can't. We have full transparency. Look, we can't. It's like our body cams. We can't change them. We can't delete. We can't do anything. We can watch it, but that's it. And even the supervisors can't do anything to it. They can just watch it.
My comment to that, what you've just said, is something I've heard it since we sat down here, is that it obviously sounds like the culture, the mindset of your department, going back several chiefs and administrations, has been real law enforcement, as opposed to just wing it, which I was told by a prior chief. We had a 60% firearms failure rate on the range. We had the old wheel guns, the 357. Smith and Wesson.
Speed order, right?
Yeah. And through so many qualifications, the metal fatigue from the heat and the big torque of the bullets, the heavy magnum bullets, the guns were junk. We also had shotguns, 870, the old 870 Remington standby. Remington. We had them in the cruisers. We had a police recruit academy go up to the academy, and the state police happen to be running it. They sent the recruits home one day. I believe it was early, with those 870s. And with explicit orders, if you ever show up on our range with those pieces of shit, you will be terminated and you'll have to come back to another academy without those pieces of shit.
That's funny.
That's a true story.
I believe it.
That's funny.
I believe it.
Now, the wheel guns, I made sergeant in 88. Transferred back in 86, I made sergeant within 2 years. We all go to the range. You know the story. What do you know? When did you know it? And what the fuck did you do about it? Right? That's your liability and your involvement as a police officer. So we went to the range. Everybody's gun was failing. That's a true story. I was at the station. Got a call from the range officer. That's a story in itself. The armorer was an English teacher for our department.
English?
English teacher in high school.
Okay.
I don't think he ever went to Smith & Wesson or Hawk or Satan.
Okay.
This one looks good. Let's get this one.
Usually an armor that's what their full-time job is.
You think?
Yeah.
So, call comes from the range, fall day. Hey, we have somebody run a handgun up here. So-and-so's gun just failed. Shaving lead blew up in their hand. So I go up to the chief. Chief told me the story. Pulls this drawer open. Puts his handgun in his 6-shooter and 4-inch barrel. His duty weapon. Take the old duty weapon. He's wearing a chief special. Bring this up. Tell him to take good care of Bessie. Bessie goes up to the range, handed it to the range officer. Guess what happened? Bessie's gun fails. Oh my God. So I go to the chief. I said, Chief, we got a problem.
Can we get some guns at work?
We got a problem. Can we get some guns at work? Not only that, but every other, 351 towns in this state, about 349 of them are already transitioned from the wheel gun to a pistol. Pete, the way it works is this. The first year you ask the selectmen, and they look like you like you get 3 heads. The second year, they start to pay attention. The third year, they say, well, why don't we talk about it? I said, Chief, you can't wait 350 years. We have no officer confidence in the street.
Officer
This
safety
is a classic ending to this before I filed a grievance. And we got guns. Pete, we didn't take this job to have to shoot a gun. That was the rebuttal back to me when I told him that over 60% of the guns on his department had failed at a recent fall. We didn't take this job to have to shoot a gun.
Wow.
So you see a pattern here of culture and history.
Yeah. Man, that's amazing.
I mean, I could go on for hours.
That wouldn't happen in Vegas.
No, we have a list of guns that we can buy, and those guns have been tested by our range staff to make sure it's 100% accurate and functional.
Is this you have an option of different guns to be on duty with?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. We
yeah.
have like 15 guns we get.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
The reason, when I did the methodology with the Boston Police Department, and they were transitioning to blocks at the time, I went in there and I spent a week of my own time watching them shoot, watching them break down the range, the weapons, watching their fall scores get much better because it wasn't a 357.
Yeah.
And the question I asked was, is this going to be your duty weapon of choice? And they said yes. And the theory was, if everybody's got a block and you are the first guy to have seen it running out of ammo, but you've got cover, but you can't leave. Somebody's going to slide you a mag that's going to fit into your gun from another similar.
That's what we always did.
Yeah.
That's what we always did. Yeah. It just makes it easy. When everybody on your team or your squad shoots the same gun, like say a Glock 17, I can go Gonzo, I'm out. If you can toss me a mag, I'm back in the fight.
What if I say I'm out too?
And I throw him a mag. Well, then we run. It's called a tactical retreat.
Yeah.
It's when you run.
Yeah. All right. So I guess we deviate a little bit. If you still want to keep with the theme of what else should it be done, you do a outside perimeter, secure check backyard. He's got a fenced-in backyard. Are there more bodies at their footsteps? Is there a pool of 3 liters of blood?
Yeah.
Outside the bulkhead?
Yeah.
Knock on the door 3 times. 3rd time's a charm. Kick the door.
Right.
Go in. Guns drawn.
Yeah.
He's in the school of ask, tell me.
Yeah.
Right?
Old school.
Right? Old school. Yeah.
Yeah, because when there's a dead guy in your front yard, we're going into that house. We need to get into that.
Absolutely.
And the fact that, remember in the video where they show somebody walking? We just watched it last night, Jen walking
Around the outside perimeter and down the driveway.
into the house. And then both cops were like, I didn't see her. No, where'd she go? We don't know. You see, you just let a person who was at the body, like, what if that was the murderer?
Right?
You just let them walk into the house and then you're gonna, where'd they go? Oh, it don't matter. It's not a big deal. I mean, just let the murderer walk away and now we don't know where they're at. Now we're not even gonna knock on the door of this house.
Yeah.
You see how stupid that sounds?
Yeah.
Well, we said it at the opening. It is so horrific what they did and didn't do that it couldn't have been by mistake or ignorance or accident.
That's what we always said. There's no way this was on purpose.
1 or 2 mistakes.
By mistake.
1 or 2 mistakes, I get it.
Yeah.
But the whole thing,
No, this was
from
100%
start to end,
On purpose. 100%. Yeah.
Another thing too would be, all right, let's just say, where do you want to go? Did we get in the house? Did we take the door down? Are we in the house? You want to go further?
yeah, it's one house.
Now we're in the house. Somebody's probably going to be either got a mop in their hand with bleach. Just saying.
Real talk. Yeah.
Or they're going to pretend they're sleeping.
Yeah.
Correct.
After the 3rd knock, they run up and they climb in the crib with their pinky
Yeah.
and their ass cell phone
Yeah.
in the middle of something.
Yeah.
But then you can always, like, you can tell, like, oh, I was just asleep. Really?
Really?
And you're like, your heart's racing like a mofo. How
And
are you
you're
just-
all perspiration
Yeah,
from
how are
cleaning the
you
basement.
just sleeping? Your heart rate's 120. Yeah. So, yeah, okay.
So,
I like
all right,
that.
so you establish some kind of.
Yeah, I would do a premise freeze.
Yeah,
Freeze the house.
freeze everybody.
Get everybody out of the house. And now let's get some warrants coming to this house. And we're going to start looking.
Everybody sits at the kitchen table, pat them down, because let's hypothetically say this isn't somebody they know.
Right.
Pat them down, You got a big bowl? Yeah, all right. Put your keys in the bowl, put your cell phones in the bowl. Don't touch anything, keep your hands where I can see them.
Everybody break out IDs.
Who's in charge of the house?
Yep, everybody collect IDs.
Brian's in charge of the house. Brian, 34 Fairview Road. Happens name's Brian. What are Brian's in this state?
Yeah.
Brian,
It's a good name.
we need you to ask consent. Can we consent? Can you give us consensual search to look through this house?
No. Now you need a
Is
warrant.
there a problem?
Yeah, exactly. See how you can get in, because when they say, "Can we consent? You consent to us searching your house?" No. Why? What are you hiding? What's up? Why can't we search your house? Oh, I guess there's a problem. I guess we're gonna have to get a warrant and tear this motherfucker down.
And by the way, I think I smell cleaning fluid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think we got to preserve the crime scene. Then you bust through.
Yeah.
And you stop everybody. And that's why premise.
You freeze the scene.
Yeah, when we do a premise freeze of a house, everybody leaves the house.
Okay.
Everybody outside. No one inside the house.
Okay.
This way they can't tamper or destroy evidence.
Right, I was taking a happy medium just to sit somewhere.
Yeah,
Again, maybe the couch is contaminated, now they make it worse.
Right, it's snowing outside, it's cold.
Yeah.
You don't want everybody outside. I get that. So yeah, in the house, in a certain room, absolutely. But then you, like you said, you might have smelt a cleaner because you know it was down in the basement. When we go into a house, right? Let's say we did a premise freeze. And I said, Gonzo, stay with these people. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to sweep that house.
Search for it
By myself. I'm going to sweep that house. I'm going to go to the basement first. I'm going to hit that entire area, make sure no one's hiding.
You're going to
Make
sweep
sure
it?
there's no more.
You're going to sweep it like that? That's how you're going to sweep it?
Sweep the house. Yeah, it depends. I'm going to have my gun out. It depends on the situation.
Right.
But basement, come upstairs, first floor, hit the whole first floor, go upstairs, and I'm talking looking in closets too in case people are hiding.
Yep.
We're just looking for bodies. I'm not searching for drugs or guns. I'm just looking for a body or somebody that might be injured. But you sweep the whole house. And if they would have done that, they would have probably seen the basement, which is where we think that some things might have occurred, right?
In our opinion,
In our opinion, might have.
valued opinion.
Yeah.
Correct. So, had they done that, but then, like we've always said, and I've said, there's a reason they didn't do that. B. Albert was very strategic in his thinking and his planning
His actions.
and his action. That's why I'm never going to come to that because he didn't want them. He knew it. So he knew if we just stay quiet, don't answer the door. He already knows the cops ain't gonna knock. No one's gonna come doing anything. We're good. So stick to the script. And we're good, right? I mean, that's how we feel. Is that how you feel?
Let me say this. I'm going to jump ahead just a little bit.
Just interrupt while we're still talking about the house.
Good.
Now, at some point after 6:06, there's an EMS crew, there's Jen walking down the driveway. There's still a body, alive or not, at 80 degrees body temperature, core temperature on the line. What I have done in the past, and what I've done under the direction of the former district attorney of Norfolk County, with a body that needs to go to a hospital, the body's part of the crime scene. You don't know what part yet. You put an officer in that ambulance.
Yeah. You go with them.
They start to cut the clothing off the triage and you put them in an evidence bag. You don't throw them on the floor of the ambulance and you don't throw them on the floor of the hospital so Proctor can step on them. And what if his core temperature came up and he gained a moment of dying declaration and said, Joe Blow did it.
Agreed.
You don't let the main core of that crime scene disappear out of your wheelhouse.
And in Vegas, we would have a cop with him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the ME comes in and takes over that scene.
Yep.
Or you're relieved by a hierarchy.
Or you're relieved by another officer because you're dazed and now it's going into swing shift. Right now he's coming to relieve you, but some cop is going to stay with that victim until we know exactly either what happened when he awakes or does.
And pushing the envelope. We don't know. We can speculate what the mindset would have been based on the leaf blow up. Was it a domestic? Was it something? Was it a car accident? But as soon as they cut those clothes off, if Bryon Gonzo was sitting there, if it was a car accident, you might have had a dislocated shoulder, you might have had contusions, you might have had bruising, you might have had a broken femur, broken pelvis, broken chin. They could have said, this guy didn't get hit by a 7,000-pound vehicle. This is a salt and pepper.
Well, that's exactly the point that I'm going to make. When in your career, in our career, we've seen a lot of people with injuries due to fights. We've seen a lot of people with injuries due to accidents. When Buchanan, his first statement says this guy got beat up.
Yep.
Your instincts are right. Yeah, 90% of the time, 99% of the time. Sure. You've seen it so much, right?
Yeah.
So when he first made that statement, I looked at Bryon. He goes, he knows exactly what happened.
Yep.
You know, and then they changed the story that it fits a narrative, right? So I just want to put that out there that your first instincts as experienced police officers that we are, we can tell what things are and when they are. And what they are.
Right. And you can eliminate easily things that they're not.
When he realized that, that was his key. Where did he get these empties from? That's the girls. Where was he at? He wants to have.
Looks like a duck, walks like a duck, is a duck.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Bad thing to say in Canton. Can we say duck here in Canton? It's like saying bomb on an airplane. Duck, duck. So let me ask you. Let's go to the body. Officer O'Keefe's body. The injuries on his right arm. Is that consistent with all the pedestrian?
Your training experience.
Do you think he got hit by a car? Do you think it would do that kind of injury on his arm?
I can answer your question in one sentence. Having been a police officer in Canton, having grown up in the town, having worked with 99% of the officers that responded to that scene or were working or could have been working that day on the total recall, I believe the narrative. Saw the pictures of the house, was told on the news, by the news, this is what happened. My girlfriend struck and killed her boyfriend. I bought into that until that was on let's pick a number, February 1st, January 30th. I bought that plan and that narrative and subscribed to it until I haven't been filmed. Maybe April 13th when I first saw the autopsy picture of his arm. I knew Turtle was out there doing his thing, but I saw the autopsy picture of his arm and the rest of the autopsy pictures. Bingo. Wrong. Didn't happen that way.
Didn't feel right.
Didn't happen that way. There is nothing on that car. Nothing. The tail light, the headlight, studded tires, nothing. Undercarriage, nothing that would cause those puncture wounds and lacerations.
What would cause puncture wounds and lacerations on a run?
I will tell you what an expert dog witness told me.
Okay, let's hear
Who
that.
trained dogs for municipalities in this Commonwealth for a long
You're
time.
listening?
Those are dog bites by an untrained canine that flunked out of the canine academy and didn't just bite once and hang on.
And then when I saw the autopsy pictures, Gonzo and I were like, those are dog bites. Because you can tell that when the dog bites and pulls, right, it rips the skin and the muscle, and almost like a teardrop shape, almost, right?
Sure.
So it's very distinct. It's very easy to spot. And we're like, that's not shards of metal sticking out of a car that punctured him and then kept hitting him. It's a dog bite. You can see the canine. I mean, it's to me, it's plain as day.
And you know from your accident investigation, and it's changed a lot. When I got on the job back in the 80s, a taillight was made of a different polymer than they are now. That stuff they put in spaceships. You could back that taillight into a bridge abutment, and I know you're not going to get 47 pieces out of it.
Well, she backed it up into John Police rig.
Right.
And what that does, let's say she cracked it there. That releases the tension on the brake light. So if she accidentally hit something else, it might break. It's not going to shatter in 47,000 feet because there's no pressure there.
Right.
It's just going to break.
We've always said, on accidents, we see 3 to 6 big pieces. I've never seen 46 small pieces of a taillight in my career.
Tissue.
Exactly.
No, that's not going to happen.
Or a skull, if you want to push the envelope.
Even if she look, I've said this before. Even if she didn't hit him, she didn't.
But he's not a solid. He's not a solid dog.
No, because it's just his arm sticking. So it hits his arm.
Energy transfer is going to be dissipated.
Yeah, it's not. It just hits his arm.
That was me talking rocket science there.
I love it. And maybe if you triangulated with the body was, you would have been able to disprove you ever got hit by a vehicle or a vehicle ever hit you.
They would have marked down where the body was.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, it's good to hear that you're on the same page as we are and see it in the light that it is. Bullshit. From the top down, right?
From the top down.
What do you think about the discipline that they're receiving?
Well, I can show you. I have. I sent the local paper in town, which is the Canton Citizen. It's the only newspaper in town. I sent them a letter to the editor, and I said, in my opinion, killers of John O'Keefe are still walking the streets of Canton, and that there should have been administrative paid leave immediately within 24 hours to anybody and everybody that responded to the scene or knew about it, including the administration, when we have stayed in their bed at home or across the street and handed out solo cups in a Stop and Shop bag. Everybody should have been off the job. I agree. Right then and there. I'm talking within 24 or 48 hours. You don't have to go far down the road. And it's what they didn't do, what they did wrong. And it's a murder.
Yeah.
And it's a body and it's a police officer. But well, so, full stop.
You know, one thing that I'm curious to know is, for us in Vegas, when something like that happens, you know that the community is either behind this or this, right? 100%,
Right.
50-50.
Right.
So when you have a small department, everybody knows the cops. The cops know probably everybody of some sort. Right? What's the community feel like towards the law enforcement agency and the public trust? Is it there or is it not there?
No, I can't speak to how it was initially.
Right.
When maybe people started seeing the Turtle Boy and some of the other platforms and bloggers and the autopsy pictures. But it wasn't long after that. So I'm going to say sometime in February, I made several calls to people that I had close friendships with in the town. And they said, Peter, they need me. They said, don't get involved. We know how involved you're going to get in this. Don't do it. Don't do it. I said, what do you mean? And the fear level that was communicated to me by dispelling the word fear, and people in town who had children in schools, people in business, nobody wants to get involved. Nobody dares get involved.
Why is that? It's because of payback?
I think there was some house. Now, I retired in 2010, and when I was there, I could speak to you. I wasn't aware, apparently, of the nefarious deeds some people in that family or those families were up to. But the townspeople, stories were making it back to the dinner
Oh, yeah.
or the classroom.
So you think are there names in this town that powerful that people are kind of scared?
Yes, not necessarily powerful because they had political power, but they were fearful.
So you're saying
They're sluggish, right?
they use fear and violence and intimidation,
I think so. Do you know who I am?
like they were monsters.
Right.
Mob style.
Right, that's what I said. The Alberts go by their last name.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know who my husband is? Do you know who my brother is? That kind of fear. I get it.
Yeah. So once in a while, people say that in Vegas, and we arm responses. No, and I don't give a shit.
I don't know who you
I don't
are.
give a shit who you are.
You want to talk about it now or down at the precinct?
Exactly.
Yeah. I got a great story on how I stopped George Maloof, the owner of the Palms, one day. You know that being Georgia?
Yeah.
That's for another time, but you're not no one's above the law, even when you're a billionaire and you own a casino.
Yeah.
Because George got a little taste of the flavor and he didn't like it.
A little of justice. Yeah. So.
All right. So, all right. I think we should end it there.
Yeah.
That was good. And then we'll go to the scenes real quick. Get some film here. Thank you, sir.
Very nice meeting you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. I hope I gave you an insight. It sounds like you guys and I are pretty much on the same page. I don't think I gave you a lot of breaking news, but
No, but it's
It's still advice.
people want to see that. Okay, it's not just me and him. Right now, it's you too, and they already know that. But now everybody watching our channel will see you, and they say, "All right, now we have another cop who is in Canton."
Work with these
Work
guys.
with these guys, and he's saying they fucked it up on purpose, and they couldn't have been by accident. It was on purpose. And that's beautiful because that's what more people need to see. The more people that can see that, maybe the more people will be like, "This is all fucked up." And who knows? Like power in numbers, right? Right. We get 1 million, 2 million people saying this is fucked up. Can't we're gonna have to be like, "Oh shit! You're like, what the fuck? We gotta fix this shit." Hopefully.
Yeah, but you got these old boys with a lot of pride.
I know.
And they're gonna turn every rock over to prove their point if they can. If the FBI comes out and says, here's what we got on you, knock it off, and you're going to go in the clean, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, we have 2 dead bodies here. We have a woman and a fetus,
Yeah.
an unborn child,
Yeah.
and we have another person who happens to be a Boston cop.
Yeah.
I can't see this going away. They've got thousands and thousands of hours and man hours and woman hours, and this just isn't the.
Yeah.
I don't care who the administration is or was or isn't or in the future.
Well, let me
It goes all the way to 1600 Pennsylvania, in my opinion. That's how bad this is going to be. Unveiling of
Let
this.
me say this, if it wasn't for people like you and people like us keeping this alive, if social media wasn't alive 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and this happened, it just happened.
Nobody would know.
Like another day.
Nobody would
She
know.
would have fled out or something and move on to the next case.
In the words of Proctor, the overwhelming evidence we have.
Yeah.
So, and in the words of Proctor, when he was asked by the cop, well, that must mean that the owner of the house was Boston cop is going to get jammed up. 4-letter word. Nope.
Because he already knew. They already knew. They knew because that's why Jen was called out front. Everybody knew the position script, which is why I said it when when we gave Alan Jackson's 22 seconds. Did you watch that part? Well, in one of our videos, we give it.
You did what you can accomplish in a 22-second
Second conversation. And we and him pretty much summed up that entire thing in 22 seconds.
Sure.
Because we did it.
Yeah.
So we can do that in 22 seconds. That's a long time. And,
He's getting 20 seconds in this.
22 seconds.
2-minute warning. All right. We can talk for a long time.
Yeah, we could.
Well, we're on a time limit, so let's do your thing. Let's
Hope you enjoyed our time.
Okay.
Episode 1, Series 1.
All right. All right, everybody. Peter Murphy, Canton, retired sergeant.
Old school.
Old school, kind of like us, but he's a little older school than us.
Hey, I'm an old guy. Well,
No. So you heard it from his mouth. You heard it from ours first, but
Yeah.
now you heard it from his.
Yep.
The investigation. I don't see how it could have not been messed up except for 100% on purpose.
Yeah.
So we're going to head over to the scenes, take some film at 34 Fairview, and then we're going to head over to the waterfall for lunch.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll run into the Alberts or whoever.
Yeah.
Should be interesting. So thanks for watching.
And for those still serving, have a safe tour duty.
Make a difference in someone's life. Stay classy, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
1 Sam 5 and 1 Sam 6, copy of 425 call.
Copy. 1 Sam 5 en route.
1 Sam 6, copy, en route.